Let me know if am I audible? Okay, Rhythm. So I think let's get started. So if anyone want to join, will directly join. So let me show you the PowerPoint screen. So here's we are in the live coding section. So this is like one of the section where we code a part of our challenge. So it will be really amazing. And like last time, I think most of the people were not able to complete this thing, either because they are not doing it. So I cannot do anything about that. But if they were facing some issues regarding the setup process and all, so we'll be doing somewhat of that part, like around 40% or 45% of the task will be done by us. After that we will begin with the live code. After that we will you have to code it. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, I think is my screen visible? Let me know, like can you see the Android Studio here? Anyone please message if they can see my Android Studio. Okay, okay. So I will create a new project, let's say Flutter application, and let's name it to Flutter catalog, um, desktop, next, finish. So it will create my Flutter catalog. I also fired up my emulator here. It will take a few seconds to just start with the basic counter app which it always create. Also, if we go back to the PPT, then I have provided these are the prerequisites. So after that, in the resources and references, I have provided you with this link, that is GraphQL Flutter package on pub. So we'll get back to this reference. So I will also let you know like how to use these references. Okay, so I've created the counter app. Just close these pop-ups. To delete all the comments, I will just say Control F to find. Now I will type uh, 2 / dot star. This is the regex which we use, regular expressions. Then replace all. Now to format your code, your dart file, you just need to tap Control Alt and L in the Android Studio, and it will automatically format your code. uh, just a second. So it will format my code. Currently it is analyzing the code, that's why the color scheme is not also loaded. After analyzing completes, here you can see analyzing main.dart. After it is completed, you can see it automatically format the code. Okay, so also open the emulator side by side, so that we can see if there's some output on the screen. So once it's done, I will just do it, the formatting part. Why it's taking this much time to just analyze the dart file? So now I'm just removing this boilerplate code so that we could get started with the main code. So this floating action button also. Someone is waiting in the lobby. Just a second, I will invite him. Okay. So now we are good. And now we need to remove this column widgets also. So I'm removing this much which we don't need to have. Okay. So I think we have cleared all the things which we don't need to have. Now I'll run it. Meanwhile it's running, I'll just go to the, okay, so before running it, let's import the package directly. I will go to the pubspec.yaml file, which is, as I said, it's the summary of our app, and in that summary we need to import the package in the dependencies section. So the package is here in this page. You can see GraphQL Flutter package on pub. I will click it to open it on the Google Chrome. So it is opening, just a second. So now you can see this is pub.dev, and here's the package, that is GraphQL Flutter, which we'll be using. You can see the score 96. So if any package has around 85 plus score, then it's good to use. And also you can see the number of likes here. So after that you need to go to the installing section and then copy this dependency. Now paste this dependency here and just make sure that the indentation is proper. So now the indentation is proper. Now click on pubget to get these dependencies from the pub. So it might take a couple of seconds to download that dependency, and after that we can create the project. So every time you change your pubspec.yaml file, it is advised to give the app a rebuild rather than using hot reload or hot restart. Okay, so I think now we can just run the app, and whatever we will change in future will directly get updated. Okay, so now we will move to readme file, and now we are going to just see the description provided by this package, in this package. So here, as you can see, this is the description provided, how to install it. Add this to your dependency. Then after adding to your dependency, you need to import this package to use the functions and classes mentioned in this particular package. Okay, so after that, here is the users section. In the users section, you can see you need to use it in this way, and we will be using that way only. So just let's get started. First of all, I will minimize this tab and import it here. I will import the GraphQL library. After importing this, we need to use this particular library. To use this library, first of all, in this section, we will make this my app as a stateful widget rather than uh, just stateless widget. I will make it stateful. To do that, I will just create a stateful widget here. You can see the reason why I'm using it as a stateful widget rather than stateless, because we want to implement the lifecycle methods that are init state and dispose. So to these are not available in stateless widgets. So to do that, we are creating a stateful widget. So we'll name it as my app, and now I will remove this section. I will remove this section, which is this. I'll just copy this return statement so that I could paste it in my new build function. So just a second. So if you're thinking why, as I said, why we are making it a stateful widget, because we want to use some state lifecycle methods. If you want to know what are lifecycle methods, then I've provided the link to them in the prerequisites. So you can see about the lifecycle methods. Uh, Here you can see this particular references widget lifecycle, and it's your favorite NetNinja video. So you can see this about what are lifecycle methods. Okay, so now get back to here, and we will just add the lifecycle methods. So first of all, first lifecycle method which we'll be using is init state. So init state will be automatically called when your widget has been built, or when you are requested to build the state of the widget. Okay, so at that time this method will be called, and as you can see we are overriding it. So these things will be cleared in that prerequisite, so I'm not covering that much in this. Okay, and now what we are going to do is we will just go to the documentation again, and in the documentation section there you can see there's some final statements and all. So let's get started by adding all those things. So first of all, now we'll start to first of all set up the GraphQL API with our Flutter app. So at this point we are good with this simple screen here. You can see the simple screen. So Now we will start integrating GraphQL server with our Flutter app. To do that, first of all, we will just create two variables, that is, let's say auth link, and we will also need to have another, which is this HTTP link. Okay, so rather than it's saying auth link, and we will also need to have HTTP link. What is HTTP link? Okay, so we have added these things. Now in this section, we also need to have a client as well. So for that, you can see we will just need to have a client. So for the client, we will be creating a value notifier basically. So we'll say value notifier, we will say GraphQL client here in this section, and let's say it is client. Okay, so we have first of all declared like these three variables we will be using. Okay, after declaring the state variables, now we will initialize them in init state. And for initializing them in init state, you are not required to call the set state function, you can directly initialize them. So I will say auth link is equals to because it will be executed before the build method, so I will say auth link is equals to. Now in this we need to add the, you can hover on this section to add the token, and the get token, we will say the token here, we will return the token, and the token would be bearer space your JWT. Okay, so for this I will copy my JWT token from this live UI coding which we were doing. We'll copy this thing and paste it here. Okay, it's pretty long. After that, we will also need to have the HTTP link is equals to HTTP link. Now I will say URI, and in this URI we need to provide a string. Okay, so this string will be the endpoint which we will be using. So here also we have entered the endpoint, so this is the endpoint. I'll just copy this endpoint and paste it here. So this is the endpoint we'll be using. Now we need to join these two things, like this is the header which is auth link, and this is the HTTP link, so we need to join these two things. Okay, so for doing that we will just say uh, link is equals to we have link as a variable type which is mentioned in the GraphQL library. All these things like link, auth link, and HTTP link are described in this library. Okay, so we'll say link is equals to auth link dot concat. Now we'll add HTTP link, so we'll join these two things. Okay, so also to after joining these two things, we will say client is equals to a value notifier, and the value notifier we need to specify the value. You can see in this GraphQL here. So we have done this part, we have done this part, we have also done this part. Now we need to do this thing. Okay, so we'll use this thing, that is GraphQL client. Now in the GraphQL client, first of all we need link. The value to link is a link which we have created over the variable which we have created just now, and we also need to have a cache. So what is cache? Basically we have just one endpoint. Since we have just one endpoint, so we need to store like which particular query we are running and stuff, so we store them in memory, so we'll use the in memory cache here. So these are some standard things which you will be doing, so you don't need to like know much about it, because if you know like what's going on, then it's fine, because we don't change these things much. Okay, so first of all I have written this much code, now I will explain these things. So let's get started. Okay, so before writing more code, I will just explain these things. First of all, what we have done till now, like we have created this my app rather than stateless to a stateful widget, because we need to have the init state method, which is a lifecycle method, which is available just in the state class rather than a stateless class. Okay, so after that I have created three variables here at the top, that are auth link, http link, and client. So auth link contains the object of the link. Auth link contains the object of the token which we are required to access, that is authorization. After that we have http link. In the http link we are like supposed to have the object of the endpoint which we will be using for it. Okay, so we have pasted our endpoint here. Okay, after that we have a value notifier and GraphQL client. Basically it's just a GraphQL client. GraphQL client, we are just saying it as value notifier because value notifier is not linked with the this package. This is not linked with this package. It the value notifier lies with the Flutter only. It's a property of Flutter state management. That's why I have mentioned like what is value notifier, what are provided. It's a part of provider class. So if you want to know about value notifier and provider, then you can watch in the prerequisite. I have specified the basic knowledge of states, so you can watch this keynote by like Philip. So it's really good. So by this you will be knowing about much more about what is provider and all. So I will just give a brief intro about the what is value notifier and what is provider. So till now we were using set state thing to just update the state and rebuild a particular widget. But in some cases we want a particular data to be sent to way down to the widget tree. For example, we have something at the very top of the widget tree, and we want this particular data or the state variable to send to the end of this widget tree, to the leaves of that widget tree. I'm just assuming that you know about widget tree. I hope so. So to do that, we use this thing, that is provider. So what value notifier is, value notifier just notifies the widgets or the listeners, basically listeners, in case like for example the build methods which are using this client keyword, which are using this client variable. So all the build methods which are dependent on this client variable will be notified whenever the value inside it changes. For example, client value has been changed, whether it's at the very top of the widget, whether it's in the my state widget, or it is out of that widget. This build method will be rebuilt and will be notified because we have specified it in a value notifier. So to get the broad idea about these things, I recommend you to watch that prerequisite. Okay, so I think this much part is clear. Do comment if you have any doubt. It's totally fine. uh, I will clear your doubt at the time only. Okay, let me know if you have any doubt. Till now we will continue with it afterwards. Are you clear with what is like you do you have a basic idea about provider and value notifier? Moreover, these things are standard, and like you need to do these things directly. So do comment if you have any doubt, or you are comfortable with it in both scenes. Write a comment so that I can continue. That's the purpose of this live class, and that's the purpose of the system we have created, that we will focus more on the doubt clearance rather than giving you complete solutions. That's why it's a challenge based learning, so we'll help you in your doubts. Is there any doubt or it's clear? Do let me know, everyone. Request everyone to comment. Yeah, Gaurav. So you need to start learning about provider package. So I've already provided you with that video of provider package. So that is really interesting video. You will have like broad idea about this thing, like how state management what are state management options in Flutter, and how they work, and which one to choose for what purpose. So that IO session, which is around 28 minutes, is really good. I recommend you to watch that to have a better idea about provider. If you face any doubt regarding provider or stuff, then you can ask in the doubt section as well. But if you have any doubts regarding what we have done till now in this video or in this live stream, then you can ask. After that we will begin with the design and doing next things. I hope it's clear to everyone. I'll start in a minute. Okay, so let us continue. So we have did till now. Now what we need to do is, in the build method we need to wrap this material app with the provider, so that we can use it down the widget tree, because you know that this client variable is declared in this state, that is my app state. But we will be using this client variable down the widget tree. So to use that we need like broadcaster, you can think of it as like a speaker. So we have what to speak, that is client. Now we need a speaker to speak out so that everyone else can listen. So for doing that we need to wrap this it with a speaker that is called provider. Okay, so we'll wrap with this with a widget which is called, I think, the GraphQL provider or something like that. There's GraphQL provider. Okay, so after that we add this GraphQL provider. We need to add, you can hover over it to see what things are required. So we need to add a client, that is value notifier. So we'll say client. So we have a speaker, we have passed what to speak and whom to speak, which is material app. Okay, so now in all the widgets which are under the material app, including the my home page and including the column widget, including the scaffold, including the center, including the column, we can directly use this client. So because we are listening to them. Okay, so for doing that, let's get back to this documentation. So we have done this little part. We have also added the provider here. Now we don't need to check about AWS as of now. We have already seen about provision. Now here is an example of queries. So we can directly use these queries. Okay, so okay, let's get started. So here on the screen you can see I'm here in the state of my home page. Now at this point I'll create two query variables. So let's say we will create a basic query here. The query is string, and let's say it get categories, if my spelling is correct. Now we will add three inverted commas. So three inverted commas are for multi-line purpose. So now you can add multi-line code in it, multi-line string in it. So that's why we add three inverted commas. Now we need to copy the query, GraphQL query, from this doc which has been provided to you. Sorry. So here is the query. I'll just copy the query. Okay. Now you can see here we are. Just okay, so we have added the query here. Now after adding the query, now we need to call this query. So to call this query, what we'll do, for example, in this column, here we will create a query widget. So it's again provided in the package which we have imported at top, very top. So we'll say options. Now in the options section you can see there are some options, query options. Now in the query options we need to add the document node. In the document node you need to specify that particular string which we are using. Okay, so to do that we will just say GraphQL GQL, and in the GQL you need to type the query. So I'll say get categories. After that if there's some variables, then you can also add the variables, because it is not required that every time you will have a proper string without any variables in the query, because if you have some variables then you should add these variables right here. Okay, after this options section we should have a builder, and in the builder we need to access these three things. You can see right here. So you can see here's an example to add variables. So I will just give you a brief about adding these variables just after this query, first query. In the second query, I will give you a brief about getting through variables also. So we need to copy this thing, that is all the parameters which we are using. Okay, so I'll just copy it now, paste it, then so it should return the widget. Okay, so now what this builder should return the widget which is required to be displayed. So query will query that query which you have created, like this query get categories. Once it is executed, it will call the builder method with the result, like this is the result. And you need to render what things, for example you need to show a text widget, you need to create a container. So all that UI stuff will you will be doing right here. So here you can see there's some conditions you can add to check whether it is loading or there's some other process going on. To do that, you can just say this thing, and once it is loaded, I'll just say text results found. Okay, also we will print the data which we are receiving. Okay, so to print the data, we'll say print result dot data. Okay, so now I will restart the app, give it a hot restart. After giving it a hot restart, you can see that it will show us loading. Then if there is an error, it will show us error. If there's no error, it will show results found. And in the command line here, in the run section, we will see the data which has been received. So it's showing us it loading, and it will process it, get the data from the internet according to our query which we have entered. And if it successfully gets the data, then it will show us directly. It shouldn't take this much time. Let's also open the run section if it shows any errors or something. Maybe due to my network issue, it is loading this much. So I think I should change the query. No, I will just add a mistake to my query and see if it is showing me some error or not, because I want to check whether my code is running or not. So I'll just added some changes to it. Now this should give me an error because category UR underscore UR is nothing. So it should show me some error. Let's see. It's taking too much time to just load this much time, because I don't think it should take this much. Let me check whether the APIs are running or not. I'll just okay. Now at least it's showing some error. Okay, no issue in that, because if it is not showing an error, then there's a problem. Okay, so I think we have not added proper indentation. That's why it's showing us error. We need to just make the queue small, then it should work. Okay. I don't know why it's taking this much time to just load the data from the internet. It should not take this much. Maybe due to my network, because it's also not showing me any errors. Because if there's some error, then I can solve it. If there's nothing, how would I? So let me just check what I can do. So category. Let's add some other query. Let's see if the other query works or not. Because maybe we have did something wrong. So just copy this query and right there. Let's see if this query runs. It is possible that the value notifier is not notifying us. So let's see if we have did something wrong at this step. Let me check, because that's why either it is not updating with the new data. This value notifier is not updating us with the new data. This may be the problem, because we are not updating the UI. Let's see if we have the auth link. We have link the GraphQL client. I think we did some mistake right here. Let us check the documentation if there's some mistake in this place. For this, for this, okay, we have cache, we have link, auth link, concat HTTP link. We have did the same thing. Either we could make this as asynchronous, but that doesn't affect much because it could be directly that way. Okay, let's try to make it asynchronous if this creates the problem. No, that's not the problem. Then we have to create the GraphQL provider. We have added the client. After that, in this section, we have added GraphQL provider. We have added the GraphQL client. We should add a cache provider also. Okay, so I will add the cache provider. Let's see if it works that way. Wrap this with a cache provider. Now give it a hot restart. Just a second. Let's see if it works now. Yes, because cache provider doesn't affect this thing. Either we did something with this part, or this wall, this thing here, this thing also. We don't need pagination. I think we have did almost all the things which are required. We have, I think we have made a mistake here at this part. So let's try to solve this thing. I'll just say uh, category name. I think this time it should work. Let's give it a hot restart and see. Okay, so it's showing us some error, and the error is get categories isn't defined for. Let's rename it categories. If the query is correct, then it should run this time. Okay, I think there's some issue. I will solve this issue and let you know in the Discord because I think I have tried. Maybe because of any setup issue, this is not working, but it should work because I already did this thing many time before. We have been using builder refetch. Everything is right actually. Code wise, I think code wise everything is right. There's no issue with the code wise, but there's some either connectivity issue or some either the server side issue. I will just check it and let you know in the Discord if there's any issue regarding that part, because it should either it should run on the screen because there's no issue with that. Yeah, okay, so I will let you know what's the problem with it and um, message you on the Discord. It happens a lot of time to me that I face some issues, but it also happens to me like I'm able to solve them right away. But I think this time the issue is okay. After this much time it is showing us some error. Let me check. If it is showing us some error, then we can solve it. It says no such method error post HTTP link. Okay, so it's trying again and again to connect with the server. It's not able to connecting with the server. That's why it's saying no such method error post. Let me check. Uh, let's go here. We have HTTPS. We have added HTTPS. So this should not show this way. The getter host was called on null. HTTP link, auth link. If you guys were able to figure out if I did any typo or something, then let me know. I think, but moreover, this issue with the server side, I will ask the organizer Mayank because he has designed the server side so that we can use it. Auth listen. Let me check if I could. We have added the GraphQL client. We have concatenated auth link dot HTTP link. I think um, auth link dot HTTP link only. So I think we have done almost all things correctly. Then it's the most probably the error lies with the server side. That's why we are facing this issue. I will let you know on the Discord. Okay, so I will be ending this meeting. But till now, if you guys have any doubt regarding anything, then do let me know. I think either my live is working or not. Let me know. Are you there? Any is everyone here like watching it? I think live is at least working. Hello everyone, do comment. Yes, okay. Okay, so till now if you have any issues, like most probably the issue is regarding that, because if there's some issue on the code side, whether the compiler has shown us some error or the Android app which we are running and that has shown us some error, because the error is not on the both sides. So I'm just giving you an idea about how debugging works. Like if you are seeing some error, there are two types of error. First is compile time error, then second is runtime error. So it's not working and it's not showing us error at the compile time, which means we are clear with the code part which we have done. Now second thing is runtime error. So runtime error is because of two reasons. Either there's something you are calling which is not available. For example, I'm asking you to open your camera, but your camera hardware is not available in your mobile phone. For example, the front camera, then it is a runtime error. Or I'm asking you to connect to internet, but the internet is not running, or the host which I'm asking to connect is not running. So that is the another case of having a runtime error. So maybe I think, as much as I figured out, the error lies with the runtime error, which is like it is not able to connect with the server side. So I will let you know what's the reason behind it. Either like it should show us some error, it's not showing us, because you can see like this error is showing that host is not here. You can directly see host was called a null, which means host is this link which we are using, this URI is the host. So it's showing the host is not there. So maybe there's some issue with that part. I will discuss it and will let you know in the Discord, and we will again do another live stream with if there's some error or not. I highly recommend you to try it yourself as well. The code part is correct and the steps are the same. You just give it a try. If you face some issues, then do let me know. If you face the same issue, then also let me know, because I will be moreover confirmed like the error lies with the server side or not. Okay, so that's all for this live stream. Thanks for being here, because this, I think I agree that these live streams are very long, around 50 minutes each. So if you are joining here, then you will surely learn a lot of things, and that will be as your experience. Like if I'm doing live coding, I'm facing the issues and I'm directly solving it here, because they like it's transparency between what I'm doing and what I'm teaching. So that's a good thing from my side. Okay, so that's all for this live stream. And if you face some if you have any theoretical doubt or practical doubt, then you can ask me. Give it a try yourself. I've shown you what are the steps. If you face some issues, then do let me know. Is it good with everyone? And I will also catch up if there's I find out the solution right away after this live stream, or anytime after discussing with the server side part. So do let me know, is it fine with everyone? Okay, okay. Thanks for joining in. All the best for your Flutter experience and developing Flutter apps. So that's it for this live stream. Thanks for joining. I'm closing this live stream.